It's been a while since I post anything about locomotives, and it comes out to say that I never talked about them at all. So welcome on today's question. Now, before we get on to the main subject, I just want to address a bunch of things. I enjoy theme parks and have fond memories of them since my first time being there, back then as a kid. But if there's one theme park in particular that I really love the most, it's not Six Flags or Knott's Berry Farm. No, it's none other than Disneyland. Since November 1955, Walt Disney opened the park and it became a massive hit. I'm not gonna go detail as you all know the history of it. But if you don't, then I suggest you pause the video and look it up. Anyways, I've been to Disneyland a lot of times. I really love their rides, some of their food, and show events like Fantasmic or World of Color at Disney California, which I also love that park as well. But one attraction that gravitates my interest to the park the most is the railroad. Since childhood, Walt had a big experience with trains that would take him around the world. So back then in the 30s or 40s is it? He, and with the help of some of his friends like Ward Kimball and Roger Broggie, created his own railroad in the backyard of his house, which he names it the Kelwood Pacific. It became so popular around his neighborhood that he would even give rides to his neighbors. Later on, Walt wanted to have a railroad at his park, so he and the others built two steam engines in 1954, which they've been operated when the park opened, and the rest, as they say, is history. Now I, as you guys know, am a huge train fan, hence my username, especially certain ones that grabs my attention, like the Santa Fe, Golden Spike National Site, CXS, and of course Thomas and Friends.
Stay tuned for those videos.
The Disneyland Railroad has a special thing. I just love how great it is, the Grand Circle Tour and its locomotives. This means so much to Walt that without it, Disneyland would never exist, and neither would the other parks which also have railroads too. So it's an important piece to the park that Walt's railroad remains there forever. All their 5 steam engines are awesome, and one of them that really stands out to me the most is locomotive number 1, C.K. Holiday, which his basics are based off of Walt's creation, the Lily Bell. The coaches are cool too, except for the excursion one, which I really don't like that coach, cause they face back forwards. But one of them I love is Holiday Red, and it was out of service for a long while. When it returned, I was thrilled to see it running again, and the Ernest S. Marsh was pulling it on that day I was there. But I wish C.K. Holiday was pulling those coaches like he did on opening day, because he looks so fantastic while pulling them. Alright, with all that talk, now we come to the huge question of this video's topic. What happened to the E.P Ripley? For those who don't know, the E.P Ripley engine number 2 is one of Walt's 2 steam engines. Which, fun fact, the locomotive was his favorite, and he even rode on it in opening day of the park. It was running perfect throughout the decades, that is until 2016 when the railroad closed due to construction of Star Wars Land and didn't open back until 1 year later. However, when the railroad reopened, we haven't seen Ripley running at all. I mean, yes, CK and the others were operating again, but not number two. And because it was absent for years, many of us were wondering where it is, what happened to it, will it ever run again? Well, we never got answers until last year during the fall. According to this guy, he said that there were wiring issues in the cab signaling system with the railroad's new alignment. So what that means is because of the railroad's line has changed with one left turn added across the bridge, they have to update the signaling system in their cabs for all the engines. So they did, and they worked. Except for Ripley, though. I assume there was a light wire problem that is not functioning right, or the old parts are in no longer good condition. That's just my theory. I really don't know. But one day when I looked back at the roundhouse, Ripley was gone, nowhere to be seen. Which again leads us to wonder what happened to it. Another replier says an engineer confirmed that E.P Ripley is being repaired at the Hillcrest Railway. So it seems that they're working real hard to fix it right, just like CK Holiday. And I'm glad for them. But then you might be asking, when will it return? Well, if you look closely at the bottom sentence, this first replier said 18 months. This means Ripley won't return until next year, 2023. Though he said at least, so I wasn't for sure about it. However, interesting enough, I went up to a conductor one day to ask her if that's true, and she says yes. So it's officially confirmed that E.P Ripley won't return until next year, 2023. Yeah, it's gonna be a long wait, unfortunately. But hey, now we all know, right?
Before I end the video, I want to address and clarify a few things that I actually missed.
Roger Brogy, one of Walt's friends, is the one responsible creating the Lily Bell, which can still be found at the park at Main Street Station. Ward Kimball, Walt's closest friend, is the guy who you may know is the supervising designer of Jiminy Cricket in Pinocchio, and originally created a scene for Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs where they were eating a bowl of soup, which got cut ultimately. There's a lot more in depth with other people who helped Walt, but I suggest you watch this video made by Toyman. He goes a lot in depth with the history of Walt's passionate of trains. Well, if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, and until then, this is Trainboy48 saying, be kind to one another.